Hello and welcome to the Balanced Business Dad Podcast. This podcast is just one part of the Balanced Business Dad movement. This movement provides a platform of the important pillars of life while building this council of dads to support each other as we work to balance our lives. The 6 pillars of life that we strive to balance are our faith, our health, our marriage, fatherhood, brotherhood, and our business. We are here to build a council of dads to celebrate wins and as well as to share the challenges of being a husband and a father, and all the while working to keep our pillars in balance. The goal of the Balanced Business Dad movement is for dads to be better in all things, balanced, because everyone in our lives deserves it.
All right, dads, welcome to another episode of The Balanced Business Dad. As always, I'm your host, Dustin Hogue, and with me, my co-host, Mr. RJ Campbell.
Hello.
RJ, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Hello, dads. I'm here again.
Guys, we have a special treat for you today. We have in studio a digital media genius, owns Smart Digital, and not only a business person, but a faith-based man, a husband, a father, and an amazing man with an amazing story that I'm blessed to be able to call friend that I've known for a long time now. Guys, welcome Cedrick Webb. Cedrick, how are we doing today?
Good. Appreciate you guys having me on the show.
Yeah, awesome. So we're going to just dive right into it. Cedrick, you have an amazing story. You're running your own business. We all actually worked together like 10 years ago selling advertising and kind of went our separate ways. And now the God has brought us back into a couple different variety of things. But your story is just pretty amazing. So first of all, let's just start with tell us who you are and what you're about.
Yeah, my name's Cedrick Webb. I own a company called Smart Digital, work with small businesses on their website and digital presence, kind of online footprint. And for me, I'm really just about just personal growth, just trying to be better every day, trying to be a better person every day, trying to be a better father, better businessman, better husband. So life's just about growth, constant growth, and just trying to find ways to improve and just make the world a better place.
That's awesome. I couldn't love that more. Being better. That's all what the Balanced Business Dad's all about. Cedrick, how long have you owned the company?
About 2.5 years now.
Okay. How did you do that? What made you become an entrepreneur, leave maybe a secure job to go into business for yourself? How's that story go?
Yeah, I was, we were all with the corporate company, just kind of selling some of the advertising. And for me, I'd got about 10 years into it and felt like from a moral standpoint, I felt like there were things that just weren't being fulfilled properly. And so I just started diving in on the back end of all of these things and just figuring out how to do it and how to rebuild it. And then it kind of hit me. It all came together, and I realized I could just reverse engineer the whole program. And so at that point, it was a calling. It was we all come to those points where we feel like God is leading us to do something bigger, to do something more, and you can't deny it. And so I knew exactly what needed to be done. So the day the pandemic began, I quit my job, and 2.5 years later, here we are.
Yeah, so no pressure.
So that's what we do in the first day of a global pandemic is quit a job that was secure and start a new one, start a company.
Pretty much. Yeah, I guess so. So, but without any sort of great risk, it's hard to really have great reward, right? So, I mean, you have to bet on yourself and step out in faith. So I think that's what it's all about.
Wow, that's amazing. I actually did not know that that's when you started.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot to dive into there. First of all, so the day the pandemic started, we obviously didn't know what it was going to be. How'd that conversation go? Because you're married, right, with kids, some little bit of responsibility going on there.
There's responsibility, right? So yeah, I'd been talking to my wife about that as I was kind of getting to that point. But she wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of it, but it was to a certain point where I had run the scenario through my head and just prayed about it over and over, and just it was an undeniable calling to step out in faith and to do it. And so while it was scary, probably more so for my wife than for myself, for me, a lot of times stepping out in faith is really trusting God that he's going to continue to keep doing all the things that he's been doing for us previously. God's always been faithful, and I knew that he would always continue to be faithful in whatever journey he called me to.
Wow.
So we get that. I mean, we talk to a lot of entrepreneurs. We have a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to the podcast, and that seems to be the common theme is faith of the spouse at home for these decisions that we make to break away from something that's secure.
Yeah.
So you had it again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Another one.
And it's interesting because, and I've heard this before, and I would say it even happened with me, it's our spouses, our wives might not be the biggest fan of this decision, and yet they're also the biggest supporter.
Right.
Right? Because we couldn't probably be there without them.
Eventually they trust us.
Yeah.
But it takes a while to get there.
Yeah.
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 We see the plan. Yeah. That's just kind of going. And it's hard to convince them of the plan.
Because it's our calling. It's not their calling. Their calling is to support us.
Right.
They have to see the calling work out. So that's an incredible story. So, and in 2.5 years in, how's it going?
2.5 years in, it's great. We've got we're pushing around 20 employees, over 400 clients in a 4-state region, planning to build it nationally. So it's going. It's exhausting, and really it's my goal this year was really just trying to get balanced. That was my goal for the beginning of the year, was to get balanced. Pretty much all the pillars that you guys have listed here for the for this. I mean, those were my specific goals for the year, was to get better into more balance in all of those aspects.
Oh, I didn't know that, but you just humbly kind of blew over that you've been doing this for 2.5 years and you have 20 employees, 400 clients in multi-states. That's quite an accomplishment, because you started with no clients and no employees.
That is correct. Yeah. That is correct. But the employees, I mean, you always want to grow, as far as employees and number of clients. But to me, I look at those things probably differently than maybe other people do, because to me, 20 employees, 10 employees, 100 employees, those are all opportunities to influence and to impact people.
Absolutely.
For good, right? And to build relationships and to pour into people to help them not only to become better employees, but to become better people.
Yeah.
I was just on the phone with one of my employees on the way here, and because she sent me a text about a conversation, a difficult situation that she's in, but she's like, you motivate me just the way that you go about yourself. So it helped me realize that I can do this. I can handle this challenge, right? I can rise up to this occasion and come out and choose to become better instead of bitter.
Wow. Love that. As John Maxwell says, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. So it's influence over other people's mindsets. It's influence over their decision-making. It's influence over everything. And I think you just proved that right there. So that's the business guy, Cedrick. There's a lot more to Cedrick. The family story, the growing up, everything like that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Which part you want to get into?
Well, even what's the current family? Because we don't know your family.
So the current family is my wife Emily. We've been married about 11 years now. So we have an 8-year-old daughter together, Ella. I've got a 16-year-old son from a previous marriage, and we can kind of dive into that more later. But basically, I grew up in a very difficult situation and circumstances, and so I didn't know what I was getting into with most of the things in life and how to go about them. And so I have a son from a previous marriage, Gavin, and then we have 2 nephews that live with us that just moved in with us last year as well too. So we have 4 children in the house right now.
Yeah. And we'll get into that story.
Yeah. Sounds like it's overflowing with joy there.
Yes, you could say that. There, with responsibility. So, but yes.
That's awesome.
And your previous family or how you grew up, where you came from, because there's a lot of story, and we've had these conversations because, like I said, we've known Cedrick for a long time. But you talk about that you grew up not in a good situation. So where did you grow up? What was that household like?
Yeah, we talked about this a lot over the years, but I grew up in a small town in southeast Missouri. Single mother. Had 3 kids by 3 different guys, and none of us really knew our fathers. And many of the men that were around or that she kind of associated with probably weren't the best of characters or influence. And so for me, just seeing the situation that we were in, I just made a decision at a young age that even though that was my norm, I felt like that wasn't how it was meant to be or supposed to be. Trying to be a little kid and just trying to navigate life on your own and try to understand and make all these decisions on your own, because for the most part, when it came to school or anything else that we were doing, we were I was in a sense kind of raising myself, and so a lot of things were just trying to be very introspective and learning things through trial and error and how to navigate the world. And over the course of those things, I learned several principles just from a young age that still carry truth today, even more so every day.
So that brings a question to me so this started when you're very young and you're doing this on your own. So you don't have a role model. How did you know that that's not the norm?
I think deep down, we all have a longing and a desire in us for more, for a sense of higher purpose, higher calling, a higher sense of community connectedness. And I think it's really a God factor, right? That connects to the core of each one of us, that knows that we're meant for more than what we can see here. And in my situation, I just knew that, and I knew that if there was the desire deep down within me for more, for a craving for relationship with God, and to do more and to be used more, then that had to be there for a reason, and I had to explore that.
How old were you when when you're realizing this?
I don't know, because I feel like I've always just kind of thought these things and realized these things. I mean, I would say just from a very young age, 4, 5, 6,
man,
and just trying to realize that if it is to be, it's up to me and the decisions I make in life.
Wow, that's incredible.
That is.
What an interesting childhood, and yet the challenges you had at that child brought you to where you are today, and are obviously making a difference in everybody you talk to and everybody you speak to and everybody you lead. That's incredible. I'm assuming, based off what you mentioned, it wasn't a faith-based household you were raised in.
Correct. Yeah, it wasn't a faith-based household. I mean, really, it's the only time we would go to church is the church bus would pick us up, and it'd be pretty much just a babysitter for to get us out of the house. But I remember going and just hearing some of the things and realizing that that was a lot more closer to where I felt like things needed to be than what I was experiencing at home. And so, while I didn't really truly connect the spiritual side of things until later, I longed and I desired for more, and to do the right thing and to try to figure that out from a young age.
So how did you break that cycle? Growing up like that, I mean, poverty and broken home, and not a lot of influence from
I would
positive
say
role models.
It's hard. It is, I think, for a young child to break the cycle and to be intentional about it, to break the cycle, is probably the hardest thing to do, because there's a million reasons and excuses not to do it. And it's easy to just give up and just succumb to your circumstances and to your situation. I look back at so many scenarios and situations, and people say, well, I could have done it, but this, I could have been there, but this, right? And ultimately, it's just the will that just won't be broken is kind of the key to it. But it's one of the hardest things to do for a young person to be able to do that. And that's why I really think that the young people who can figure that out early and be motivated and do whatever it takes to work their way out of a situation, they can do anything. And that's one of the things, even with Smart Digital, we started our Hero Maker Scholarship. We identify those people who have overcome these tough circumstances, and we partner with them to get them into college and help mentor and to mold them and to influence them to get them back into the world, to be able to use it for good.
Well, that's news. I had no idea you were doing that. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. We try to do 2 students a school year, and we partner with them a semester, $1,000 a semester. And we keep in relationship with them. Some we even bring on staff to do some tasks for us and just get some work experience and just really just developing the relationship but the plan is just to be there for them long term, more so than just these few years of college, but to give them an example and to be able to help them move forward faster, to be able to impact the world.
That's fantastic.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. How'd you get to college?
I went to college at Southeast Missouri State. For me, I used football as my tool or my avenue to working out of the difficult situation. And so as a young kid, I would go out there at the age of probably 7 or 8, and that's when I devoted myself to it. And I would spend summertime anywhere between 12 to 16 hours a day just training, running, just any sort of like conditioning, doing drills, practicing just on my own. In summer, anywhere between 12 to 16 hours. During the school days, anywhere between 4 to 8 hours a day. I was always the first one there to have them unlock the weight room and the last one to leave. It was pretty much the point where, like, by the time I was graduating high school, they pretty much give me a key to the school because I was always the first one there and the last one to leave. And so to me, that was kind of my sanctuary, right, where I could just escape the difficult situations at home and just choose to try to position myself just to get better. And so I was fortunate enough to be able to play football in college.
So that took you to being a scholarship athlete.
That took me to being able to do that, to be able to get into college. And then once I got into college, that's where everything really, really began to take off for me. And that's where I began to have an intimate relationship with God. So.
Wow. So things were, I don't know, for the lack of a better word, bleak, yet you used football to get you where you wanted to go. You mentioned I was fortunate enough. No, you worked your ass off enough, right, to get you where you are. So kudos to that. But you didn't have those models, and we talk about that a lot. A lot of the people I coach, you didn't have this person to model, right? Your programming was different, and yet your actions were much different than your programming.
Yeah.
And that is an incredible feat. And I mean, again, just kudos to you. What would you say right now as the success you're having and the balance that you said you're striving for at the beginning of this year? What's the biggest challenge in that balance with raising the 4 children, the relationship with your spouse, the relationship with God, your health? I'm assuming you're not playing football anymore, but health's still important to you. So what's the biggest challenge right now?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge and my goal for this year, right, was to get healthy and to try to be able to align these things. And so we went from having, I'd say June of 2021, we went from just having my daughter full time to bringing on 2 teen boys. And so they've been with us for a little over a year, my nephews, and then my son, I had shared custody of him, and he just moved in full time with us this semester too. So in the past year and a half, we've gone from 1.5 children in the household to 4. And so I hit a point last year where emotionally and just mentally and just physically, I was just tapped out. I could barely get out of bed. I could barely pick up the phone to call. I couldn't even work up the energy to drive anymore. I was just going nonstop and pushing myself. to the max, and I pretty much had nothing to give. And for me, I knew the goals where I wanted to be with the business and for myself professionally. And I knew the goals that I wanted to be with the kids and with the family, but I realized that where I was going, I couldn't baby step it, if you will. I had to come up with a drastic plan. And so for me, one of the things that I did, I hired some of my best friends in life that I trusted, some that I had worked with before and some that I had never worked with. And some of them left their jobs of 10, 20 plus years to come work, just to be able to support me on this mission and to help me be able to find more balance in being a father and to be able to take care of myself, but also, they believe in the vision of where we're going and about getting better and using this company and this platform to make the world a better place. But for me, the key was just realizing that and being able to put in some drastic measures to be able to give myself more time to find balance. And so, so if we're talking about the pillars, it's brotherhood. I realized I was too busy to be able to build in that brotherhood. So I had to get creative and to bring them into the company and to be able to do that, and to kind of find the balance there.
That's cool. So if you guys heard that, the brotherhood pillar was lacking, right? Totally out of balance. You don't have the support group around you that you need to have. So how you did it was you hired them, right? To make sure that you had both, right? So I'm building my business, yet I'm also building what I need in life by that brotherhood. Guys, that's the true heart and a spirit of an entrepreneur right there. I'm going to figure out how to do this, even if it's going to be non-conventional.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge.
Right. Yeah, you don't get that in corporate America.
Yeah.
That's not what you would think.
No, I'm going to hire my best friend so I can take care of this.
Right.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah. And it's been great. We've been able to get so much closer than we've ever been, being a couple of my friends. And, but really the business is also a lot more secure because these are good people, right? They're my friends for a reason. They're good people. They care about, have a lot of the same principles and they had the soft skills that transferred over. And, being an entrepreneur, we know that really it's all about the soft skills.
Absolutely.
Right. Most of the other skills we can teach for the most part, but just getting the right people on board who are willing to work hard and do the right thing is and believe in your vision is key.
Wow. Yeah. So you mentioned that you had 2 nephews that moved in last year. I remember when you were going through that. How did that come about? Because your house was pretty full anyway. I mean, you already had 2 kids at home. Yeah.
So it was one of those callings where I knew we had to do it. So I have 2 siblings. So I have a brother and a sister. My sister was not fortunate enough to be able to make it out of the situation that we grew up in. And, she ended up just getting caught up in drugs and making a lot of bad decisions and spent most of her life in and out of prison and in and out of rehab. And, a few years ago, she took her life. And so they're my sister's kids. And so, over the course of time, I just realized that I had to be there for them. I had to give them a fighting shot to be able to make it in life and to be able to give them put them in position for a future, for better hope.
Wow.
So you chose to be the model that you didn't have, right? What you did right there was break a generational curse, a path, whatever you want to call it, to make sure that they're going to have that model that you yearned for as a child.
Exactly. Yeah. I always say, be who you needed when you were younger. And that's what that's my screensaver on my phone. And I look at that every day. Just as a reminder, I always think back to when I was younger in my situation of, what I needed. Right. And then just trying to be that for other people. When I earlier, going back to what we were talking about before, I was fortunate enough to be able to get out of that situation and to go into college. And yes, I worked hard. I did everything I needed to do in order to put myself in that position. But I feel like I was fortunate enough for the lights to come on for me to be able to see that.
Right.
and to be able to understand that principle is of working hard for what you want and believing in it and doing the right thing, that no matter what you do in life, all these principles, these spiritual principles, these godly principles, timeless principles, they hold true regardless of what you do. And so I was fortunate enough to learn those principles at a younger age than most.
Yeah, that's what amazes me when anytime we talk about this is that you picked all this up without having that role model, without having that dad in your life or that mentor, whatever you want to call that.
I picked it up from that, but one of the reasons I picked it up because I was so shy and insecure and an introvert. So all I ever did was listen and hear. And I hardly spoke to anybody growing up. I don't think I looked anybody in the eyes until my freshman year of college. And so my situation was so tough that they didn't think I'd ever talk normal. I had a pretty bad speech impediment growing up. And so I was always shut down and told not to talk because it would embarrass everybody, or I'd get hit if I did speak. So I never did speak. I was incredibly shy growing up, but it allowed me the time to be able to process things and to be able to see where people's actions and words didn't match, and what that looked like, and to really understand what I didn't want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because more so, I think life is a lot of times about understanding what you don't want to be. Right. And once you know that, then you can start really trying to put in more so like what you do want to be, because, to me, it's you have to be able to understand those things, what you want to be and what you don't want to be,
mm-hmm.
and then make decisions appropriately or accordingly.
This podcast is loaded with nuggets.
It really is.
It's amazing.
Show notes are going to be huge on this one.
Yeah, it might be a book.
There's so much, and we can go down so many paths here, and yet I just want to say thank you for this. Cedrick, people need to hear your story because you're going to move a lot of people. You're a true blessing for everyone that's ever known you. You're a true blessing in children's lives, and it sounds like you're making a difference generational for other people's lives with the scholarship that your company has started. So I just want to say thank you for the time here. It's something that you mentioned in the beginning of this, not even queued up, but you talked about just being better. You choose to be better every day. And that's what, the Balanced Business Dad's all about, is be better in all things. The pillars that we chose, our 6 pillars, they really encompass everything. And everything that you can think of, it can fit under one of those pillars. And you hit the nail on the head with that. You just want to be better every day than you were yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I just want to say thank you for this. Thank you much. Where can people find you? Where can they look up your company? If they'd like to find you.
Yeah, thank you. And it is all about getting better. I always say that you have 2 choices, to get bitter or to get better, right? And so it's all about the mindset and what we choose to do with those situations. So you're 100% right there. Where people can find me, our company is called Smart Digital. Our website, smartdigitalteam.com. I've got my own personal website, cedrickwebb.com. I'm always willing to speak and to share my story. Starting to go to schools and to speak and to share my story, different places. So any chance I get to share my story or to influence people, I'm happy to step up to that challenge.
Are we going to work on that book?
Absolutely.
It's a great story.
It's a great story. Yeah. There's a lot of stories there, and a lot of people can benefit from that. So again, thank you. RJ, tell them where they can find us.
Well, as our first thing, guys, thanks for listening, hearing what we have in Cedrick's story. Rate, review, download. That's what helps us a lot, and it helps us get the podcast out to more dads so they can hear what we have to say. Easiest place to find us on our website, thebalancedbusinessdad.com. This will all be in the show notes. If you want to converse with Dustin and I, we have a Facebook page, facebook.com/thebbdad. Leave comments there, start a conversation, and Dustin's probably going to talk about the next iteration and the next adventure that we're going to have as we develop the Balanced Business Dad even further.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Be on the lookout. There's some cool things happening the first quarter of 2023. So that's all I'm going to say right now is be on the lookout, yet be ready to grow together is how I'll end that.
We call that a tease.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. So that's it.
Cool.
That's the way to find us. Cedrick, thanks for coming by. This has been It's been a lot of fun. It's very deep. This was much
Yeah.
deeper than I thought it was going to be, and I did not realize how much it'd be focused on fatherhood because, what you didn't have and are giving now to 4 wonderful kids.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
awesome. Thanks, guys. Make sure you stay balanced and just get better every day.